sister friends, it's Terry from Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush, and I'm fixing to make a wreath for my front door. I'm just going to show you all the supplies I have. This is a good spring summery wreath. We recently, how do I put it? Because of Hurricane Laura, we lost our Hobby Lobby, and it took a year and 10 months for them to rebuild a new one. They've not even torn down the old shopping center yet, but they made a new location. So I was excited to go there and get some flowers and get started. So I'm gonna show you all the supplies that I'm gonna use for this. I'm gonna show you the techniques that I used going around, and then we're just gonna get busy making the wreath. And I'll hopefully be able to help you a little bit, and I would love to see your wreath too. I got some ribbon. I chose, we'll see the flowers in a minute, but I chose something that had some purple and some yellow in it. We'll see this closer to the end. And when I go to make the bows, I'm going to use floral wire. And I get big boxes of it, or you can just get these like at Hobby Lobby. We'll put this kind of stuff in the bottom, links for that, affiliate links. So if you do click on any of them, I get credit for that, and I appreciate it. But your floral wire, the higher the number, it comes in like 12, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. The lower the number, the stiffer it is, the higher the number, the thinner it is. I like to use about a 16, about an 18 maybe. And I always, in the beginning, use a pair of wire cutters. I always go ahead and cut these in half. These are not my good wire cutters, but I did pay $6.99 for these the other day at Hobby Lobby. So cut yourself a stack of these in half. Make sure and have some good scissors for your ribbon. I don't have mine yet, but I'll get it together. I'm gonna use my Ryobi glue gun. This is a lifesaver. You'll see in a minute, it's cordless, so I'll be able to, with my hurt shoulder, I can't do a whole lot, so I can't be pulling and doing all these things. I'm not supposed to be doing anything, but we know I can't help myself. But this is fantastic. No cord to get in the way. It doesn't matter where in the room I sit, that's gonna work. This is another great lifesaver. I'll have you a link for this too. I got these off of Amazon, and I need to get it cut open. Let's see if I can do it. These are glue sticks. I get so tired of buying you know, the little packs for a couple of bucks they are now of glue sticks, and then forgetting where I put them or not having enough. It seems like every time I'm mid-project, I run out of glue sticks. So this is 10 pounds worth. It's very difficult to do this stuff without moving your shoulder. See what I do? This is like Christmas. A treasure trove of glue sticks. And these are multi-temp. So these are 10-inch multi-temp, and we'll definitely have you a link for those. A whole lot cheaper, a whole lot easier, and you just don't run out halfway through. Now for the exciting part, oh, and this wreath, this is probably close to a 24-inch. My past assistant, Whitney, from 2020, 2021, makes these by hand. She goes out in the woods and gets all the vines and brings them in and soaks them and forms them up and all that stuff. And she made me this, and I'm so appreciative. So I know there was a lot of love already put into the wreath, and I've used this one before. You can see there's still a little piece of greenery in it. I'm gonna leave it right there and not worry about it. And you don't always have to have something to go in your wreath too, but this was on half price at Hobby Lobby, and it says, this is my happy place, and my front doormat and my back doormat both have birds on them because I love birds. So I'm going to incorporate this into my wreath. It was regularly $12.99. You could paint something, you could not put anything, you could get some at the Dollar Tree, whatever you want. This is what I chose. And then here's the flowers and greenery. And I really thought I had a third ribbon, so if that pops up later, it's just because I like to do things in threes. And here's where your whatever flowers that you choose seasonally. To me, one holiday is not enough. If you were going to make a patriotic one, you could put it out for several different holidays, but I like to use something with my favorite colors, which is purple. And yellow goes good with purple, and you know, I've got all my kind of favorite colors go good together, but I chose to go with the purples this time. So you will have what's called your face flowers or your focal flowers or your focal piece. We're gonna have a focal piece in this one. So I move on to secondary, and these are your second most important flowers, and they do have little faces and heads. And then you're going to have, and one more thing, this has reds and blues and yellows. I'm going to come back in over the red flowers at the end and make those purple with my paintbrush, just to tie it in together. So the other things you're going to look for, you're going to look for a face flower or a big focal point. That doesn't have to be a flower. It can be your bow. It can be something else you put in there or whatever. It's your main thing you want to be noticed first. Then your secondary to sort of surround it. And then you have what are called line flowers. And it makes good sense because they're like a long line. And they give shape and direction and dimension and width and height and all that to it. So this is what I chose. It looks really good with the purple. And it lightens it up a little bit. So I got 2 of those. And with your greenery, looks like I have some missing here because I actually had some magnolia leaves. Anyways, you want to vary what your leaves are going to look like. I loved the idea because this is summery for this springy looking light fern. So that's going to be my background. And then you have what are called filler flowers or filler greenery. So you want something solid. Mine's missing. And then you want something to just fill in with a little bit of color here and there. I got these because this works as greenery, but also the little tips are yellow. Yellow looks good with purple, and it's all going to look good together. So that's my third shape. What I'm trying to spit out is you don't want the same shape or texture to all of your greenery and flowers. So that's the difference that I chose there. And I still would like there to be a couple of magnolia leaves in here. So if I don't find them, I may go out in my yard and cut them off of a magnolia tree. And you will then, the easiest way to me, well, here's another. This is a different greenery with a different texture that I didn't. So it's just as big and long, but it has tiny little leaves and it's not quite as fluffy as the fern. So there's my other one. So maybe I put the magnolia leaves back. But what we do to begin with is come in and cut these. You really do need good wire cutters, and I really should have got the $20 ones, but I knew I had a set already. So you just cut all these off, and what we're gonna do is make a pile of each thing, and it's actually gonna be like 3 piles of each thing. So I'm gonna start with the greenery and get it done first, and I will pile up this style of greenery, small, medium, large, then the fern one, small, medium, large, and we're gonna put it in first to get most of the wreath covered and get our direction going, and then we'll put everything else in. So what you'll do now, let me show you. I'm cutting these off. These are both about the same size, so they would go in the same pile. Let's see if we can find a big long one. Here's a big long one. So this would go in the long pile. These would go in the short pile. And then just depending on what else we have, this looks like a medium right here. This would go in the medium pile. That way, whenever I'm working my way around, I can grab from whatever pile I think I'll need to grab from. Here's another long one. These are cutting better. I shouldn't have griped about them. They're cutting better than I figured they would. They definitely cut better than the ones from the Dollar Tree. So don't get caught in that trap and then come home and wear your hands out trying to cut with them. See, there's a little short one. Sometimes when they're flowy like this, we can leave whole branches together, and I may do that with the next one, but just starting out right here to see what I've got. Ow, I'm not supposed to turn around like that. There's another short one. This is really pretty, just the way that it is. So I'm gonna cut it off here. I'm gonna think about cutting it off here. There we go. I'm gonna leave this big long one. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the fern, and that's gonna be where we start. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have all my greenery cut off, and this is a little bit backwards to how it's normally done, but just trust me on this one. It's what we're gonna do. Because this is so big, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in, and I'm using this to decide how I want my wreath to look. It bumps out a little bit up here, and I want that to be off to the top left for no particular reason. I just decided that's where I would like to put it. This has a rope on it, and I want it to come up over my wreath just a little bit to where it'll hang well in there. So I've got a couple of the wires, the floral wires I told you about earlier that I've cut in half, and I'm just gonna wire this in here and then tuck these wires down inside where they won't stick anybody in the finger. And I'm gonna do a couple of those because it is a little bit heavy. And after it's done, if I feel like I need to, I may come back in with some hot glue or something right in there. You can use glue dots or whatever you want to do. Just use what you have. But that's gonna hold that in place where we want it. I have my large pieces of fern, and what I want to remember is this is where I'm considering to be my focal area, everything coming from. So I want you to decide on that area. Everything you put in will radiate out of that spot. So that's what we're working on. I know I want my fern to stick a little bit off all on the outside. And so we're gonna lay it first, and we left these long. So see, we're gonna come in from each direction and put some of that on there. Then we'll come in with this last one. It actually will need to come around this way. And I did that totally backwards. You want everything to go in the same direction. Let me put it that way, but it's all gonna end and start right here. So I like that. So I'm gonna choose that placement, and I hope this is hot already. I've got it turned on. Let's see if anything's gonna come out. There we go. It's just now getting heated up. But I'm gonna do the same thing. It's just as I come around here and there, I'm gonna squirt a little more in to keep this attached here and there, but still looking natural, because I want it to fluff off this way and that way in order to look good. And then here's where we stuck the other one in at. Get plenty of glue in there. Come around this corner for this circle. This glue wasn't quite hot enough when I came around the first time. Here. So we're going to come back in putting plenty. Get to where, if you're doing it for a video like this, you try to rush, but enjoy the process. There's no need to rush. Same here. This is where we're going to start. Lots of glue there. And just bring it around to the beginning. And I'm gonna let this just stick off up that direction there. We're not worried about everything being imperfect yet. We're trying to just make sure this base layer stays stuck down. Then we will come back with the next greenery, because I have a base of this and I want to make sure that this fluffy fern shows a little bit of everywhere. So I've got that base layer in. I'm going to save that and come back with the longest of the little woody stems. And I'm just going to quit talking at this point and keep on showing. But I'm going to be going in the same direction. Everything I do will be just like this from now on. Start to finish, just like you're going around the Monopoly board. Everything's going to be like that. So I'm bending these to make them, for the most part, go in that same direction. And I apologize, I've bit off a little bit more than I can chew with my shoulder right now, and this is kind of hurting, but I want to finish. You want some of those leaves going out and some going in. Just the long pieces of the next one. One more tip here is, if there's anywhere where this is beginning to bulk up and you're thinking that bottom layer may not be glued that well, you don't want to end up with a problem later. Come in with one of your wires, twist it around, bend that wire under where it won't get your fingers later. That is not going to show, and that's going to hold things in place. So I'm going to, because I'm having trouble holding up the glue gun and I'm rushing a little bit, that's what I'm going to do with some of these. This is called your mechanics. You hide your mechanics, but it will not show through this greenery. Believe me, every florist in town has some of this in there. This wire is our saving grace. And if, you know, the wires, this is just like whenever you're screwing a board together. You're not screwing a board together because that's what's holding your board together. You usually use adhesive first, wood glue first, and then you screw it together, and what the screw does is hold it together until the wood glue takes hold. So that's basically what we're doing with these wires. These wires are like our screws. They're holding this together till the glue sets, but we'll never take it out, just like a screw. I'm gonna continue along in this fashion, coming through and seeing where there's a naked area that's not as full, inside or outside, just adding the medium-sized pieces. I have medium-sized pieces cut of the fern and medium-sized pieces cut of the woody stems. So that's what we're gonna do next. We're not gonna use them all because we'll still save some for the end. When you're looking at them, you can look for which ones are shaped appropriately for the spot you're wanting to use them at, and you'll usually find there's one that's perfect, already has the perfect curve for going around the area that you're working in, and you just choose that one. Simple, simple. Glue, put the glue on the stem or on the wreath. These to the side, and now I'm going to cut off. See, this is all that was left at the very end there, but we have all these pieces saved to the side. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing and cut off the flowers now. cut off all three, the line flowers, the filler flowers, and our face flower, and our purple flowers. Flowers is, well, these aren't gonna be able to do it. A lot of times you can cut it off longer and slide these leaves up higher so that it'll be full all the way to the top. The leaves become the filler that hides some of the areas that don't have greenery yet. When you're done cutting, you have a handful of these, and this is the empty stem. Throw that away. These will also have long, medium, and shorts automatically built in. That's how the designers design them, so that you will have plenty of options when you're building your project. I try to always cut the price tags off as I go, because if not, you'll see them all over later in your wreath. Generally, when you buy your flowers at the wholesale florist, they won't have those price stickers all over them. So the florist doesn't have to stop and do that, but because I bought these at Hobby Lobby, they're actually, for those who don't know, the flowers at the wholesale florist are more expensive than the flowers at Hobby Lobby anyway. They're usually a higher quality than you would get at most stores, but Hobby Lobby does have higher and lower quality. The ones that you buy by the individual stems at Hobby Lobby that are more expensive are more like the quality at the wholesale florist. This is what I was talking about earlier. Hope you can see this. Let's see if I can put it on there. This has sets of leaves that are on here, and we can push all of those up to the top to fill it up there if that's the only place we need something. If we're needing this to go sideways in here and have leaf the whole way, we'll leave it like that. If it's going to be here at the top and we only need that to show, we just shove all those leaves at the top and it fills up underneath it. So as you can see, I will use this base probably for the rest of my life. I will get this out at least one season of the year, take off the old and put on the new and use that base. So the only thing I'm replacing are, depending on the time of the year, the flowers. If I save this base to be my one for, you know, spring and summer, I could leave this greenery on here until it just looks bad and then take it off. Or if, you know, we would have to take it off to put fall greenery or Christmas greenery or whatever if we're switching to that. But we could leave the base and just change the flowers and for our spring and summer ones. And we're going to do the same thing with our lawn flowers. Your lawn flowers are long and straight and establish the lines of length and width and the amount of space that your project will take over. They establish the lines. And I am having trouble. A lot of times if you look at these, I'm not going to be able to cut it with my shoulder. I'm going to have my husband help me. But I want to show you this real quick. If you look at these up close, there's an indentation already where you would normally cut that at. That makes it a little easier. But I just don't have the strength to do it. So I'm going to go see if I can have him help me and come back. This may be a little bit bass-backwards to some of you, but I think I'm going to go ahead and make my bows now and put that in because I want some of the flower heads to go inside of it. So a lot of people save their bow until last, and you are welcome to do that if you want. You can do anything you want with your wreath. These are the colors that I chose. Right now I have my glue gun heating back up and getting some of this together, and I have all of my flowers and stems cut out and ready to go in when we're ready. I need to cut a few more of my pieces of wire. Get them in half. I can usually cut a couple at a time. And your half does not have to be perfect. We're not sitting here measuring this out or anything. Half-ish is fine. So I'm going to grab the 2 colors of ribbon that I have, the 2 patterns, and just randomly choose for the plaid one to be on top. And I hold it with my fingers like this. This is wired ribbon, one right on top of the other. Design up. And I'm going to just wrap it around that way. Twist it at the bottom. Hold that between these 2 fingers and pull it out. There's where I'm gonna begin. And that's about probably 3.5, 4 inches. I get a little bit more than that. That's gonna be the smallest loop. Remember, this is gonna be doubled. And I'm bringing it around, twisting it right on top of the last twist that I did. Grabbing that back with my finger. And then you'll pull this one to be a little bit longer than the last one, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Under here, I'm still holding it. Still holding it. Twist, right on top of the other twist. All of our twists are gonna be lined right up in a row. And then this just brings the decorative side back to the top again, is what the twist does. So, 3/4 of an inch bigger. Bring it to the bottom, same exact spot. Would help if you unroll a lot of this because we're trying not to twist it up, but that is happening. Same thing, I'm gonna twist right there on top of the other twist, bring it over. This time I'm probably gonna go about 1 inch bigger. Do the same thing. Twist, same spot. Then this time this will be the last one. I'm gonna go about 1 inch bigger there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. Twist, same exact spot, 1, 2, 3. So it'll be my last one over here. About 1 inch bigger than the other one. And the way I like to do it is go ahead and make that twist. See, all of my twists are lined up there. I'm gonna grab my scissors and just cut about right there. Of course, I got the crappiest scissors in the house, didn't I? Not gonna worry about how that looks. Let's just cut it. Okay, then I'm gonna bring this back around and meet it underneath where all of my twists were. I'm gonna grab a piece of my wire, push it through over the top of my thumb, bend it in half, and bring it under the bottom where I'm still holding this flat underneath where all my twists were. So now I've got it in the other hand. All my twists are right there. And now I'm gonna twist this about 3 times. Then this is where it matters whether your scissors are cutting good, because we're gonna cut I'm just reaching in half right here and cutting that at an angle. Okay, so there's our bow. And we'll just I'm gonna pull a plaid to the right, a polka dot to the left, polka dot to the right, plaid to the left, and just keep repeating that until I've got them all out. Even my little center here. I just want them to be, to keep the colors spread out evenly. How did that go? How did that go? There. Okay. So we know we're gonna put it about right here. I'm gonna put just a little bit of glue under there. Except out. There we go. Put just a little bit of glue under there. Try not to get my fingers in it. Put it right where I want it, which is just to the left of center. Right there where I've been saving that spot all along. And I'm gonna bring my wire under and attach my bow with my wire until the glue holds it. We'll fluff this out more later, but for now we can bring some of these down and around, and we're not gonna come back and cut the others that wind in through there until the end. It's not always easy to work upside down and backwards, but we try. There we go. Push that wire down through there. And twist. And I really can't twist right now. I'm gonna put it there like that. I'm gonna put a little more glue under it. And there we go. That will cool off in just a minute. Now we're gonna do the same exact thing in the same exact fashion as before. We're gonna start with our line flowers. And here's the only place we're gonna differ, is we're gonna go around just like we did to begin with, but at the very end, coming out of this focal point, we're gonna have these pointing in both directions. I'm just starting with the long ones. We're gonna establish a little bit of width there. And with these, I'm gonna go out with one, in with one. You may not use up all your flowers. Just because you have them doesn't mean you have to use them all. What you saw in the beginning, I get a good heavy bunch of each of the greenery and then 2 each of the flowers. And that's usually plenty with some leftovers. What we're gonna do first is make sure we make it all the way around and get how many we want at the top. And then we'll come back in and fill in any extras in the bare spots. I love the way these are old and rustic looking next to the tin of this as well. And then come back with our ones going the other direction. We'll look for the shorter ones for that. All of these are pretty long. So this is giving us how forward it is, how deep it is. The dimension of with this line flower. We're gonna come from the center of that bow as being our focal point and come out in each direction from it.
Staying at home.
There we go. I just want one going over that. I want this to look a little bit crazy. Okay, I think that's plenty of that one. Now we're going to go to our purple roses. And do the same thing. In and out, all the way around.
And look up above, the sunlight seems like it is gonna break in.
Now we're gonna put our important ones coming out around the bow. One going toward the center. Looks like it's growing out of the bow. That's the goal here.
Something ain't right. You straighten my shirt, wearing the skirt that my mother gave to you. I come up behind you and kiss on the side of your neck a few.
Right in the center of my bow. And we'll look and see how many we have left. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 left, and we're gonna divvy them up. Let's save the shortest ones for the top. Making our way around. These are still going to come forward a little bit from your wreath, not laying down flat in it, but not as much as the purple flower. The purple flower is still more important. And the importance is shown through how far they stick out forward. Right there that needs something. And this is the last one. Let me see where we need it. Go. Right here. The finishing touches are going to be the tiny leaves and ferns that we saved from the beginning. So now we just come through and look for empty spots, or look for a spot where we wish we had something sticking in or out or down. I forgot one important thing I wanted to show you. You don't have to do this, but I did want to show it to you. If you want to have it appear that your ribbons flow all the way through, just cut off about 3, and we're going to go about, let's guess, 18 inches long. I'm going to do 3 sets of those, both colors of the ribbon. One. You can make these shorter, longer. You can do a half a dozen 6-inch ones, whatever you want to do. This is simple and easy, so I know a lot of people really like that to go on there, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put the stripe on top of the polka dot. Even there, just bring our wire over the center of it. Bring it around the back, twist it. Since we have 3 sets, I'm gonna just do this in thirds. It's gonna be difficult for me to do from back here, so let me come around. Pushing this through until I can feel my wires in the back, and then bending them over. Then you can bring this up a little bit, and you just wind it in and stuff it down in there. And I'll wind this one around these flowers and stuff it in right there. And I'll do the same thing to the next one.
Look up above, the sunlight seems like it is gonna break in. Something ain't right.
Skip a little bit of space. This one right here. Just got those 2 wires. Just picking a random spot, pushing them through, bending them over. Since this ribbon has the pink in it too, I'm going to leave those flowers, and I'm not even going to worry about going back through there to change that. I want a little bit of both bows ribbons, showing. Last one. Now, you would take this same thing if you wanted a couple of long tails. This thing is already humongous, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But other options are, if you wanted this to look like this ribbon went all the way around and had a couple of long tails that hung off the bottom, you would just use your wire here at the top, do the same thing, and put it in right there, tie it in. I'm not interested in that because this thing is already big, so this is all I want to have in it. I'm gonna twist it around, go about right here. See if I can get it stuck through there. I'm gonna come up, stuff it in. Down and do very similar. And I'm gonna come back right now with a little bit of hot glue underneath where I put that in and where I tucked it in at the end, and just add that glue for a little bit of extra protection. Just a little bit. Now I'm gonna fluff my bow just a little, but I'll do more of that when it gets outside too. Okay, now we'll get it outside. I forgot one important thing I wanted to show you. You don't have to do this, but I did want to show it to you. If you want to have it appear that your ribbons flow all the way through, just cut off about 3, and we're gonna go about, let's guess, 18 inches long. I'm gonna do 3 sets of those, both colors of the ribbon. There's one. You can make these shorter, longer. You can do a half a dozen 6-inch ones, whatever you wanna do. This is simple and easy, so I know a lot of people really like that to go on there, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the stripe on top of the polka dot, even there. Just bring our wire over the center of it, bring it around the back, twist it. Since we have 3 sets, I'm gonna just do this in thirds. Pushing this through until I can feel my wires in the back, and then bending them over. Then you can bring this up a little bit, and you just wind it in and stuff it down in there. Skip a little bit of space. This one right here. Just got those 2 wires. Just picking a random spot, pushing them through, bending them over. Now, you would take this same thing if you wanted a couple of long tails. This thing is already humongous, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But other options are, if you wanted this to look like this ribbon went all the way around and had a couple of long tails that hung off the bottom, you would just use your wire here at the top, do the same thing, and put it in right there, tie it in. I'm not interested in that because this thing is already big. I'm gonna fluff my bow just a little, but I'll do more of that when it gets outside too.